Hello and happy Wednesday. In case you weren't aware, today is International Women's Day. According to the International Women's Day website, today is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. So I just want to say to the women out there who are listening, thank you. I know my life would not be possible without women. Biologically, that's obvious, but beyond that, when I look at the women who have made a difference in my life. I could make a really long list, but I am the person that I am today because of the influence of my mother, the influence of my wife, and the influence of my daughter. And I appreciate all three of them immensely. Um, Today, take a minute and think about the women in your life who have influenced you. If they're available and it's possible, then contact them and let them know how much you appreciate them. And if they've already gone on, then thank God for the influence that they've had in your life. The verse of the day is Psalm 31. Not Psalm 31, Proverbs 31, verse 30. If you're familiar with the Old Testament and Proverbs in particular, Proverbs 31 is basically a description of the ideal woman. And it talks about her being basically almost a superwoman, that she farms, she takes care of the house, she manages her household, she provides for her family, she does all of these things. She is truly amazing. I think it's a very high bar for anybody to live up to. When you read Psalms or Proverbs, I keep saying Psalms. When you read Proverbs 31, particularly if you're a woman and you read that, don't beat yourself up. This is more of an ideal description of what the ideal woman would be like. But the thing that I find interesting, I hadn't really realized it until I read or listened to somebody else talking about this passage this morning, is that in all of this elaborate description of the ideal woman in Proverbs 31, it never once mentions her looks. Not once. It describes all the things that she does, all of her skills, all of her abilities, all of her hard work, but it never describes how she looks. I think that's something that's important for us to realize. Verse 30 of Proverbs 31 says, "Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Now, I want to broaden this out a little bit because I realize for those of you who are men, you could read this and say, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me, but it does. Because this verse to me, I realize I'm pulling it a little bit out of context, but it teaches us something important. It reminds us of something important. What do we look for? What kind of qualities do we look for in people that we allow to influence our lives? Our society is built on attractiveness, on beauty. We are influenced by people who are beautiful, by people who have attractive personalities. That seems to be the thing that we go for. If you look in social media today, the influencers today are primarily all young, and they're all beautiful, and they're all really attractive personalities. From what little I know about social media anyway, that seems to be the case. I know when we look for politicians, we look for people who have charming personalities, people who say, and any way that we want to describe the word charming, people who say the things that we want to hear, or people who say the things we already think, are the kind of things that we look for. Our society is built on this thing of attractiveness. But what this proverb reminds us is that there's something that really we should be looking for when we are making decisions on who we are going to allow to influence our lives. We don't need to be following social trends on that. We don't need to be looking for beautiful people to want to influence us. We don't need to be looking for people who are going to say all the right things to influence us. This scripture tells us that charm is deceitful, that beauty is fleeting, that these things don't don't last, and it's not what we should be looking for, but we should be looking for people who fear the Lord. So as you're thinking about people that you're gonna follow, people that you're gonna allow to influence you, stop and evaluate. Are they people who fear the Lord? Are they people who have a relationship with God? That should at least be part of our radar. That should be something that we are thinking about in terms of who we're going to follow, who we're going to listen to, who we're going to allow to influence our lives. What kind of relationship do they have with God? Because if that relationship is not what it should be, and in fact, if that relationship is non-existent, if they are people who are opposed to God, or people whose values are very, very different from the kind of life that Jesus would want us to live, we really need to stop and think, is this someone we should allow to influence our lives? Charms are deceitful. Beauty is fleeting. But a woman, or a person, we could say, who fears the Lord is to be praised. And I'll just throw one more thing out because we're almost out of time. Think about yourself today. Think about how much time you spend developing yourself today. How much time did you spend this morning making yourself look attractive? How much time do you spend trying to be attractive? How much time do you spend today building your relationship with God? Just a thought. Have a great day. Enjoy your walk with the Lord today, and be gracious to one another. Walk with God. Have a great day.